Welcome aboard the Seatbelt Sign podcast. We've been cleared for takeoff.
Welcome back to another episode, and today I'm talking to Nathan Aller, my good buddy. We met through Facebook groups and met in real life, started flying some airplanes. Nathan has a business called Ferry Direct Aviation, and that's what he did for me, man. He gave me a shot at ferrying some aircraft all over the United States. This dude has got some wild stories, so happy to have him here today. What's good, buddy?
Yeah, man. What's up, man? It's good to see you again.
The good thing is that Nathan and I, we still pop into each other randomly. Anytime he's got some big gig, he'll give me a shout, or anytime I'm down at Sun and Fun, get to run into him. But it has been a minute, man. We need to get together again.
You're like full-on flight instructing now. I think the last time I talked, you had some little jet time, buddy.
Oh, yeah, man.
Right?
Since I've seen you, I got to fly some jets. I'm flying a turboprop right now. So, yeah, it's been...
I'm actually pretty jelly, man. I'm looking to do the same thing.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Maybe one day.
All right.
When I grow up.
So Nathan, really quick, just the backstory, man. So I found you on a Facebook group, and you had a great idea, which was a challenge. And you were like, I got this big gig from Montana to the East Coast. I don't remember what you were flying, but you put it out onto the interwebs, and you were like, anybody that can make a handwritten flight plan and send it, whoever's got like the best looking numbers, like you win.
That's right,
dude. And I saw that, and I was like, fuck yeah, that's dope, because in my flying club we had actually done a similar challenge, and I was like, I'm gonna do that right now. I signed in like 2 hours later to Facebook to remember the details, and there was like 180 comments, and everybody was hating. Everybody was hating, and I was like, what the fuck, dude? So then you ended up deleting it, and then you put up another post, and you're like, all right, so since all you haters were like trash talking this and saying that it was illegal, I just took it down. I just want to do something fun. And I literally was like, I messaged you, and I was like, dude, that challenge was super dope. I really like what you were saying there. And I don't know, you were like, what's your phone number? And you just called my ass, and you're like, do you want to go on this Montana trip? And dude, we were about to do it. But the only reason I bailed on you was because it was the first time I got to go fly some King Air stuff, and we went all the way to the Caribbean.
That's right. I remember. That's right. You were so stoked about that,
dude. Yeah, and I was really bummed in that moment, because I thought like I had kind of ruined that interaction with you. And then shortly after, I got to go down to the Caribbean, got paid to be there for 3 days on the island. It was super dope. Got some first ever turbine time. And then you were like, hey, bro, we need you to go to Canada with like 5 other guys and go rescue some planes. So I was like, we met, dude. And I was just like, this guy is fucking having adventures all the time. Like, that's wild.
That's what it's about. My man. First and foremost, let me just tell you, thanks for having me on, Nick, buddy. Variant's where it's at, man.
Hell yeah.
I got stories, buddy. I got stories, and more so, I got personal growth, right? So a lot of people in my area, if they know me, I talk about, or I mentor a lot about building quality flight time.
That's right.
And, if you're going out there and you're just running, Grandpa's little 152 and you're flying 1,500 hours in the same state, are you really challenging yourself? Are you really growing as a pilot?
Right.
So, through this variant thing, which, if you heard my original story, I just kind of fell into it. I was licking some wounds after being told that I wasn't good enough to be a pipeline patrol pilot. I ran into a broker in a bar in Florida, and he basically convinced me to start a company to ferry Cessna 210 all the way out to Palm Springs, California. Well, shit, at the time, I didn't even know what a 210 was, but
hell, that's awesome.
I told him I could do it.
That is one thing. That is one of your trade secrets that you've taught me, that many other people have also said. They go, listen, it's at the end of the day, it's a fucking airplane. You can fly it, read the POH, all right? And doesn't matter what it is, you just tell them, I can get it there. You don't need, how many hours do you have in the aircraft? I can get it there.
That's right. Just tell me how many I need. It's just like insurance right at that point.
Yeah, and I'll add plus one. I'll add plus one to that. You said one time the funniest thing. You were like, You're like, dude, you're fine. Just take off. You got like 3 hours en route to read the POH and figure out how to land it. And I was like, that's so funny.
Oh my god, it's so true though.
Right there
I
you go.
mean, I don't want to tell people the wrong thing, but um, I have a unique backstory, and the reason why I'm so comfortable doing it is because early in my foundation of flying, I joined St. Pete Flying Club in St. Pete down in Albert Whitted. Hell, man, back in 2015, they had like 14 different airplanes.
Nice.
I mean, they had a 182 turbo, they had a Piper Arrow, they had a Saratoga, a whole bunches of like 152 or 172. So they had a huge mix, DA40s. And when you're a 70-hour pilot, man, and you're in a flying club and you have access to all those airplanes, and I was a paramedic at the time, so I wasn't real broke. I could afford to do that, man, and I guess those skills transferred over, and I pretty much fly everything. If it's not tailwheel or floats, man, I think I probably have time in it. Doesn't require a type rating.
It's awesome, man. And
Fun.
you couldn't be more right. Getting the variety of aircraft. It kind of teaches you to treat them all the same. You know what I mean? All right. Let's say back to the beginning.
Right.
You're a paramedic. You got this wild idea one day, and you're just like, "Hey, I want to go learn to fly a plane." Let's take it from right there.
Yeah, man. So I moved from Ohio down to Columbia, South Carolina in '99. Prior to that, I played hockey. Went to South Carolina. There was no hockey in South Carolina back then, but there was an airport down the road, and I went down there one day looking for a job, and there was an old instructor there. His name was Hugh Kirkland, and he used to fly Learjets. And we worked out a deal that I'd come out there and empty trash and wash the airplane, and I'd get like 1 hour of flight instruction back when it was $60 an hour. So my last flight, so this was probably June of '99, and I was what you call a career student pilot all the way in through um, September 8th of 2001.
Wow.
I will send you a copy of my logbook. That was the last day I flew, and then I didn't touch a plane again until August of 14. I got my private pilot license out of Gatlinburg, Tennessee, with a guy named Randy Stallings at the time, in a old TB9-9 Tampico, and I got my private license on New Year's Eve.
Wicked.
So yeah, pretty
You
dope.
partied that night, didn't you?
Buddy, let me tell you what, man, we had a good time. We did. Let me see. Let me look at my logbook here. Where did I go? I know I went somewhere. Oh, you know what we did? We went over and flew over Knoxville. We went over and flew over Knoxville and looked at fireworks and stuff like that.
Dope.
That's what we did.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
It was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I got to take my first wife at the time, but yeah, man. And let's see, 2015 spring brought me down to Florida, and started getting in with St. Pete Air, and mom and dad at the time lived in Columbia, so we were just doing this back and forth. And I'd rent the 182 or I'd rent the Arrow, and I just started building time like crazy.
Nice.
And yeah, man. So in 2017, moved to Fort Myers. I met a guy, Pete Newman, who had a Piper Arrow, and we kind of went in on that one. And I probably put 600 hours on that airplane alone, and just kept building more time. And right when I was around 700-800 hours, I got my instrument rating, and then I got my commercial the year after that. And in June of 21, that's when I started Ferry Direct Aviation.
Sick,
Yeah,
man. Sick. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny you said 210 to California, because I've done that too. I did P210 from California to Raleigh, and
oh, you did a P one. Oh,
yeah.
nice.
And we didn't even go that high. We did pressurize, and dude, it was the worst experience actually in my whole life.
Why, dude? What's up?
When I was inbound to California, I was starting to get like a sinus headache, like nasal congestion thing.
Sure.
Like it literally woke me up from the flight, and like in the descent, my ears were hurting on the Delta airline that I was on my way out. And dude, I was just like, fuck. So I took a bunch of cold meds, went to sleep early that night after like meeting the client.
Right.
Dude, wake up the next day when he pressurized that plane on the ground. Bro, my ears, I wanted to rip them off of my head, dude. It was like the worst, like feel like, I don't know, the worst pain in my inner
God.
ear. And dude, so I had a cold like that whole 3 days that we flew at home. And I remember we stopped in Texas and I got to see my family. And I was like literally sitting next to my brother at dinner. And when he was talking to this ear, I literally would have to turn and look at him. I was like, I can't hear shit out of this ear right now. And dude, to this day on this ear, I have like popping of fluid in my inner ear. Like I've been to an ear, nose, and throat. Right. They look in it and they're like, yeah, everything's great. No wax. Everything's clean and clear. And I've just lived with it for like 2 or 3 years, bro. I need to get this shit fixed, but
that's insane. You know, weren't you when we flew together from Lexington out to well, I was going out to Texas and I dropped you off for that 310. Yeah. Weren't you sick then too?
No, but I think I had probably told you about my inner ear problem. Then.
Maybe you were telling, maybe that's what you were telling me about. Was this story? Yeah.
Well, let's jump right into that story really quick. So, for everybody listening,
oh my God.
It was December, I believe, 2024, and it's it's like December 20th, and I get a call, look down at my phone, Nathan. I'm like, all right, what the fuck is this? I answer the phone. He's like, hey buddy, what are you doing this week? I'm like, well, I know what that means. That means we're going flying, bro. What's the plan? And you're like, okay, December 23rd. You're gonna meet me in, where was it, Kansas?
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to pull up my logbook actually right now because this is a good story. Yeah, no, we went to Lexington, Kentucky.
Kentucky. I always say Kansas, but it was Kentucky.
Yeah, we went to Lexington, Kentucky.
Sorry. All right, so Lexington, Kentucky, December 23rd. I flew in. It was late night. And the plan was that we were going to take a 182 from there to somewhere in Arkansas. I was going to jump out and fly a 310 all the way up to like the northern Ohio area. And then you were going to continue on with this 182 all the way to South Texas. Odessa, dude. And I've been out there. That's West Texas.
And it was IFR as hell.
Dude, it was so nutty. I just remember you telling me on the phone, you're like, and when I got there, you're like, the only mission is that we don't ruin Christmas for our families for the rest of their lives. And I was like, dude, that's so true. So
I'm sitting here looking at it. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm sitting here looking at it. There was like a like not a nor'easter, but there was like a front all moving through like Ohio Valley. It was literally 400 and like a mile for like 600 square miles, and then all the way it was 4,000 foot overcast with freezing at 6,000 all the way to Texas. Because I was still shot an approach in Texas. It was nuts,
dude.
At night too.
Yeah. So I show up, and of course, like we're delayed, and we didn't even launch until after midnight. And as usual, you had like 3 monsters ready in your backpack, and I had like 2 and some cookies and just like, you know, Slim Jims or whatever, right? And so we take off, and I remember you kind of showing me like how you approach every flight, like jumping in these airplanes that you've never touched before. Like you're like, how do we use this piece of crap old original autopilot? And we figured it out, and you were like, all right, let's just make sure it doesn't kill us. And we're monitoring, right. And good, we're still alive. So it was pretty nice to see like your method of safety. But yeah, we did.
Yeah, man.
It was supposed to be VFR and clear, dude. It was night IMC, in and out of clouds the whole time. It was, stressful.
It was like +1, +2. It was cold.
Yeah,
it was cold too.
It was cold, and so we were supposed to go to this little spot in Arkansas, and this tiny airport kind of sat in a horseshoe-shaped little valley. Like there was mountains all around it in the shape of a horseshoe. And
I don't remember the name of it, but I remember what they're famous for, and it was like upholstery work. Remember? Wasn't that the place?
Dude.
It was just a little rinky-dink airport.
It was bumfuck Arkansas, dude. And we couldn't make it in there because it was low IFR. So
that's right.
We both agreed it's not even worth it to go and try it and attempt to shoot it. We're just going to go divert somewhere else. And when we got down, it was 2 a.m. And you looked at me and you were like, start calling taxis. And I was like, bro, you're crazy. No one's going to pick up. But you're like, just call. And
start calling.
Dude, so I found some numbers online, started calling some local dudes. These Indian bros like answered. And we like negotiated a price because it was gonna be a 2-hour and 20-minute drive.
What was it, dude? It was only like $200, wasn't it?
It's
It was
something
like
like
a deal
that.
of a lifetime,
Yeah,
actually, wasn't
this
it?
nice Indian guy came and picked me up in a minivan, and then you blasted off, and you were like, "I gotta
I
run to
did.
Texas." And dude, I asked this nice guy, I was like, "Hey man, I'm a pilot, and you're driving me to another airport. I'm super tired. Can I sleep in the very back of the minivan, like on the couch seat?" And he
Oh,
was
we
like,
were-
"Yeah, sure, no problem."
Was
Bro,
it not 3 o'clock in the morning?
it was 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah,
It
when
was like 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
when we started going in the van. But dude, it was like
Right.
mountainous roads in Arkansas. So dude, it was like all this curvy shit. It was hard to fall asleep.
Really?
And I kept like waking up and just seeing woods and being like, "Oh dude, I'm gonna get axe murdered out here," right? Dude, so then we finally show up to the airport, and I want to hear your side, how you continue on into Texas. But I remember we pull up and the sun was like just starting to come up, and just a tiny little FBO, but of course no one was there yet, and of course I had to take a dump. So I was like, thank God I carry wet wipes.
Dude, I'm shitting the trash can before.
Oh my God. No, I ran out to the
Can't lock
woods.
outside.
I ran out to the
Yeah.
woods. But dude, and then so I finally found the 310 parked outside, but it was one of these weird ones where the oil dipstick, it isn't on the top of the engine. So what you had to do was unscrew the sides of the cowling, and then you
Yeah.
pull this dipstick out horizontally out of the
Kind of
engine.
like horizontally. Yeah.
The only way I found it was like because I called a mechanic friend and I told him what the problem was, and he was like, "Oh yeah, go open this and see if they're over there." And I was like, "Oh my God!" So I wasted like an hour on the ground doing that, dude.
You
It
learned
was just
something.
it was just a rough start, man. That whole time I was like, "Is this plane gonna kill me today?" But so let's hear it. All right, so we parted ways around 3 in the morning. How did you continue on to Texas? Like, what else
Yeah,
happened?
so I think we refueled and everything, and we parted ways once I knew you were down the way. I'll be honest with you, man. That takeoff, like out of there, was like one of those. It was like one of those surreal moments because we were blasting off in what 600 overcast at that point,
Yeah.
and it was like light raining. The freezing level was between 4 and 6, just depending. And now I'm like night IFR by myself, and I was proficient at the time, but there's something about flying in IMC for hours.
Dude.
And you and I had already been doing that, right?
Dude, and at
It
night,
was so bad.
it's so butt puckering. And then that's something that I never even considered too. Is like then you
Right.
were just by yourself, dude.
Yeah,
Ooh,
man.
that
And
gives me.
this even comes from like after 135, like night Alaska, like flying down there in Mississippi for Martin. But anyway, yeah, man. So we blasted off. I went up to 4. I think I got a clearance up to 4. And you remember like how they say like at nighttime or over water, over mountains, like your plane just makes weird noises and
Always.
things like that.
Always.
Now imagine 4.5 hours of that all the way to Odessa, man. I was begging for the sun to come up, and the only thing that I remembered from being out west on my previous trips was the sun comes up early out west. It does, and it really does come up super early. And I remember going in and out of these clouds, and I was listening to some flight training happening at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and they were like literally calling out that they're breaking out at minimums like 200 overcast like below me, like a mile. Like they're shooting like Cat 1 approaches, and let's see, it would have been I guess it would have been Addison at that time in the morning. It would have been like close to Addison. And I was like, wow, man. I was like, dude, I did not leave myself any room for safety at all.
Oh
Right?
God.
We're flying, because I mean, like, dude, when we were thinking about it, man, dude, that was an old girl we were flying, dude.
Yeah. It was. It had a
And
really
it was
weird.
a 182 RG.
Yeah. Really weird autopilot. I remember it felt like it was
did.
jukebox buttons. Like you would click it in. It was like weird as hell.
Right. Yeah, I didn't trust it a whole lot. Well, you know me, I don't really like flying on. I hand flew a lot of that.
So,
I'm-
tell
yeah.
me. So okay, so you get to Texas.
Yeah,
Obviously,
man.
you had
So I
like a huge sigh of relief when you're like,
I get
find
the,
Odessa.
Well, the daybreak happened. Well, you remember, Nick? I remember I got vectored into that thunderstorm back when I was flying for Martin Air, and I had a whole Jesus moment. So like, I don't like flying in convective weather anymore. So
Yeah.
I learned my lesson. So I mean, just imagine 4 hours of flying in semi-convective weather. having ATC kind of dodge you, man. As soon as the sun came up, and now I can see these motherfuckers I'm flying through. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it wasn't until I made it on the backside of the dry line, man, that things cleared off. But now I had another problem. It was gusting 30, and if you've
Ooh.
never flown out in like Odessa or West Texas, man,
Yeah,
strap on, dude, because
it's all desert.
yeah.
There's no trees, dude. That wind just goes.
Yeah. So I remember shooting the I don't know, RNAV. I shot the RNAV into Odessa, and give me 1 second. It was we were landing south, and dude, I was being blown off the localizer like crazy. You know, I think I was taking probably, I don't know, I was right there, probably at 15 knot crosswind, man. You know, which wasn't high, but after flying all night long, being awake for 20, almost literally 24 hours, right? At this point, since I left my house in Florida, like it was almost too much to handle. And finally got on the ground, turned it over to the client. And the client was like, "Hey, do you want to go up and do a couple patterns?"
You're like, not in the slightest,
Like,
dude.
I'm like, "Fuck no."
I know. It's so funny.
So we put more gas in it, and we went back up, and I took another punishment.
Oh, God. Good for you. That was nice of you. There's been times
Oh man,
where.
dude, it was brutal. He ended up buying me a steak and eggs though, man. So like, I was pretty cool with that, and I love food out in West Texas because it's like, I can't believe people live there, man.
Yeah.
It's the most impressive thing ever.
We went out there
Peaceful, but
for aerial survey, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of solar out there, and like solar
there is.
and wind. So it was
Yeah.
like rugged. Yeah, like you said, the winds were kind of crazy as we were trying to fly over these solar panels. And then I was looking at my co-pilot, and I was like, bro, luckily, if anything happened, we could land anywhere out in this desolate desert because it's all, easy shit to land on. And I was like, but we will die of dehydration and starvation because no one's going to find us out here, dude.
There's nothing out there. It reminds me of flying in Alaska though too. When you're flying out in like Western Alaska, it sort of looks like the Everglades or maybe like Minnesota, where there's just like 10 million bogs and ponds for
Yeah.
hundreds of miles in each direction.
Yeah.
And you'd be like going out there in the caravan, and what they like to do up there is the locals like you to fly really low, right? Because they want to see the wildlife and things like that, right? And but you're flying like 200 miles or 150 miles at like 500 feet in a caravan out in this tundra, and you know that if you flame out, like bro, you're gonna die by mosquito attack. In the
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. In
Yeah.
the winter, like you have a surviving chance in the winter. Believe it or not, like you have more of a survival chance in the winter going down to the backcountry than you do. And that's kind of hard to say because it's like 30, 40 below zero, man, you know?
That's super interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, but you get out there towards like Shivak and like you go out towards like Gammon or Hooper Bay. Dude, that's all the way western Alaska. There's nothing out there, bro.
Mm.
And that's what the West Texas feels like. But anyway, so you made it back, right? And then did the client not let you fly it
Oh
home?
yeah. So let's wrap it up. So okay, you handed over. You took him for a ride. You got some breakfast. And then what?
Yep.
You just flew straight back to Florida from where?
I commercialed back. I commercialed back to Florida.
All right. So you went home, and what time do you think you got back to Florida? Like midday?
Well, yeah, dude, I got home at like 4 p.m.
Okay.
Like whatever that second.
Because then, I take off in daylight, which thank God, and I did have to go through some IMC initially on takeoff, and it was cold, and I was super worried about freezing. But also, too, man, just flying a twin that I've never touched ever in my life right into clouds at 500 feet, I was just like, oh, fuck. And I'll be honest, that was not a beautiful climb out. Like, I kept looking at my attitude indicator and being like, oh, I'm 20 degrees left. Oh, I'm 30 degrees right. Like, fucking blah, blah, blah. So then, thank God, I broke out, and I'm flying this thing. And I got all the way up to 10,000. Like, I broke out at like 2,000 feet. Luckily, it was a thin layer. No ice.
Right.
And then I'm just cruising. And I had enough to get me all the way back to Kentucky. And en route, I was watching what you had just mentioned. This, jet stream that was passing over the Great Lakes, all that northern shit. And when the storm would be like over an airport, it would just go down to like marginal VFR, like 2,500 feet and like 3 mile visibility, like no real issue. But then as it would passed in its wake, it just left this like cold winter fog everywhere, and I could just see this plume of low IFR airports. So I started calling flight service on 122.2,
Right.
and I was like, hey,
Right.
and then these guys, they're just like reading the TAF, and they're like, no, the forecast says it should be fine. And I'm like, but I'm looking at this radar, and like this shit's moving. And they're
Right.
like, this dude literally had the same realization as me. He was like, oh yeah, that's not looking very good. And so, dude, I just diverted straight to Kentucky, and I was like, dude, it's already a low IFR at your airport. Thank God I did, because when I finally got there, dude, this was just a slab of pavement in Amish country. It didn't have like pappies, it didn't have shit. It was just
you were screwed.
So yeah, and so
See?
I land, and it's raining in Kentucky because now this like storm that I've been watching, it
Right.
hit me. And I was just freaked out that whole flight, because all I heard the whole time was airliners being like, oh, I picked up ice here, I picked up ice here. And I was like, man, I don't want to descend. I don't want to
And
descend.
we're like, and you're like really right there at the freezing level, weren't you?
Yeah, but I was just
mean,
in
you were
like
like-
blue sky the whole time.
Oh,
But
okay,
dude, so I
okay.
got to Kentucky, and it's pissing rain. You were on an airline, so I was talking to your wifey, and I was like, "Hi, can he cancel my ticket? I'm not gonna be able to make it there," because we completely flopped the whole plan. I called the owner. Luckily, he
right.
was a ex-military C-130 pilot, super nice. He was like, "Bro, it's Christmas.
Cool, dude.
You're not gonna get a flight home. You're not gonna get a rental car home. Just take my plane to North Carolina. You can deliver it to me after New Year's, because I was going to Disney with my family and shit. That
Yeah,
year.
he was going somewhere. Yeah, that's right. Oh man, what a
Dude,
guy.
yeah, what a guy. So I made him a deal, and I was like, since you didn't sign up for that, I'll pay for the fuel for this leg.
Yeah, of course, man.
And so I think I made all of like $20 on that gig that you hooked me up with, because I spent it all on fuel, but I got a bunch of multi-time. And then I did eventually take it back to him, and same problem. Flying that thing, when I finally got it to the owner, it was just freezing everywhere, and it was cold in the plane. And every time I would turn on the heater in the plane, there was this like little CO2 warning light. And like 10 minutes after I turned the heater on, it would just start blinking. So I was like, okay, do I want to slowly get carbon monoxide poisoning, or do I just want to freeze my ass off? And so like I would turn it on and off like periodically throughout the day. But I remember, it was like all just clouds below me. And then when I was like 30 minutes away from the destination, I just told ATC,
Right.
I told it, I was on an IFR flight plan. I was like, yo, I see a hole. I saw a big ass hole where I could find ground. And I was like, I'm dipping right there. And then I'm just going to go direct to my destination. And they're like, all right, well, you have to cancel IFR. And I was like, done. So I just dipped through this hole, got underneath all the clouds, freezing to the surface, and didn't touch anything.
Right.
And then I came in and landed, just plopped it down on this like 3,800 foot little rinky dink. Like it looks like somebody hand painted the numbers on the runway thresholds. Like it didn't have shit on it, right? And dude, I stumbled out of this plane. My feet were so fucking cold. I had to go sit in the FBO by
I'd have been there before.
yeah, because I was seriously so fucking cold. And then the guy was like, "Do you want to go take it up for a lap?" And I said, "Absolutely not. Like, no." And he drove me to I think it was like Detroit was where I was flying out of. And dude, we saw like Amish people in buggies twice
No way,
on the
dude.
way.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Dude, I
yeah.
used to live up in that part of Ohio, man. My family's from. It was Ohio, right? That's where you dropped them off at.
I think so.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, my family's from Seneca County. Gulf 16, I think, is Seneca County Airport, Findlay, Fostoria.
But dude,
Yeah, man.
like I want to highlight some of the emotions on that trip, and talking
man.
to flight
definitely.
service. So
Yeah.
I had flight service 122.2 asked them to send you a message on your phone saying cancel my ticket, right? Because as immediately en route to Kentucky, I was like, all right, I'm not going to do the second leg. I want him to try to get his money back. And then when I got the okay to go to North Carolina, I had flight service call my girlfriend, and I asked her to come and pick me up from like a GA airport instead of like the big Class C where my car was parked.
Right.
And dude, like I got emotional because I think the combination of being so tired and then like just escaping the bad weather, dude. Like I
Pushing it, dude.
legit got like a little teary eyed in the plane. And then when she picked me up, like I gave her a big ass hug and kiss, and like I got a little emotional then too. And she was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "Babe, I've been gone for so long." She's like, "You haven't even been gone for a full 24 hours."
We worked it, dude.
It felt like literally 7 days had gone by. It was so crazy. And then when she said that, I was like, oh, fuck, you're right. I only left yesterday. But it had felt like a lifetime, that experience, man. It was so nutty.
I had the same experience like sorry. I had the same experience like after you left the airplane and that flight from like Arkansas to Odessa. I mean, that was you might as well say that was a week long, man. That was a long
Yeah,
time.
it was crazy.
And
It was so
you
crazy.
know, Nick, thinking about it, we used to, and here's the safety side of things, early on in the days, the whole I'm safe checklist thing, it was more of a suggestion, like it's time's money and we want to ferry during good weather. Typically, we want to push it during good weather. We knew that it was going to get bad. Remember, like
Yeah.
I knew that it was going to get worse because I think after that it was when they had all that low level wind shear and it was disgusting, right? But looking back at it, man, we went a little too hard. We should have
Oh,
just
we
called
did.
it in the
I
middle of that
know.
night, and or we should have just delivered after Christmas. But damn, when those bills got to get paid, you got to fly, right,
Yeah,
buddy?
Santa Claus ain't free, baby.
That's right. Santa Claus ain't free.
But
But
dude, it
yeah,
was
man,
okay. I think it was a very good learning experience. Sometimes in aviation, you learn bigger lessons from mistakes than you do from
absolutely,
your teacher.
absolutely.
But dude, so back to you. All right, so you're
Yeah,
all over Florida. You're building a lot of time. You're paying for it yourself, which is something I want to mention because people always are
yeah.
like, "Oh, dude, how do you get the flight time?" Like blah blah blah. Like,
Oh my
go
God,
out
man.
and pay for your time. Like, pay, rent something. But I want to
I
ask you.
bet you. Yeah, go ahead.
I
Go
want to
ahead.
ask
Sorry.
you. Let's jump into when you decided to move to Alaska and that whole journey and that adventure of flying caravans up in the way north.
All right. So just real short. I had been flying for Martin Air previously, and man, you always just want to level up. Like once you get to your 135, you'll start flying there for a while, and you'll catch wind of bigger and better dreams. You know what I mean? And you'll want to level up. And I don't think I wanted to fly passengers. After flying boxes for so long, and when you fly nighttime single pilot IFR, you always feel like the tip of the spear. If the weather's bad, the caravans are the first ones to taste it. You know, and it just kind of was. It was just kind of dangerous. It was just kind of dangerous if you think of it. Imagine the night that we were flying, right, from Lexington to Odessa. Imagine that being like almost every night in the spring, going on a golf court. It's down to minimums like every day, or it's convective, severely convective, but not bad enough to where like you can't go to work because all the other planes are flying, right? It's just bad enough to make it stressful. So I kind of got tired of that. We had a really short window to be able to get from Gulfport to Pensacola, and I wasn't willing to cut corners. Like I'm going to take a full length runway. I'm not going to take the last 3,000 feet. I don't care if I'm in a caravan that can do it or not. Like I'm going to take full length. It's 300 overcast and a mile visibility and pouring rain. I'm not going to, and I'm taking out off over water. Okay, out of Gulfport. So all these like little things add a few minutes, and after being late for that UPS jet a few times, man, I just was tired of hearing about it. I got vectored into a cell. On an approach one night. Scared the Jesus out of me, and don't ever want to go inside of one of them, man. It's real fear,
Yeah,
and
I'm good on
real
that, dude.
real fear, dude. Yeah, real fear, man. Stretched some cables, warped a little sheet metal, and dude, I had the most wobbly knees when I got to the ground, man. I couldn't even walk, dude. Like my legs were shaking the fear. Like my back, like it felt like I had scoliosis or some shit, dude. I don't know.
Ridiculous.
But I think it broke me, man. Like now I'm all about like, dude, I need to get to the light levels and up and above that shit. But
So that
so
left a bad taste
so
in your mouth and it sent you to Alaska.
yeah, so right, so I always heard about Grant Aviation, and I had a good opportunity to go up there. So I went up there in the spring of what was it, 22, spring of 22, and it was a sweet gig, man. It was 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and we made it work as long as we could, and it just unfortunately was just too hard for the family. You know, imagine being 5,000 miles away from your like 1.5 and 2 year old.
Yeah, no
So
doubt.
it's kind of hard on the family, you know. It may not have been the wisest choice, but God, man, dude, I get some damn good experience up there.
Yeah, yeah. So how long were you there?
Yeah. We were there from I ended up going back in like October. So June through October was pretty much the most that I ran up there, and we would be out of Bethel, and we would run Bethel to Quinnipiac, Bethel to Scammon, Hooper Bay, and it'd be a morning flight of freighter, an afternoon of passengers. And,
All right, give me some airport identifiers.
all right, let's see here.
You don't remember them?
Now at the top of my head, Jesus,
Oh,
dude, no.
okay.
So my route usually would start off in the morning at Bethel, and then I would go down to Quinnipiac, which is Papa Alpha Quebec Hotel, and that was about a 30-minute caravan flight. And if you don't know, this Quinnipiac River right here, dude, they pay big freaking money, man, big money to go down there and fish for salmon in the summer.
Nice.
And I did a lot of that stuff, like flew in freight, and, you know, gear and stuff like that. So then you'd return back to Bethel, and usually when you return back, you'll have like what's called a split load. It'll be partially cargo, and then the other half will be passengers. And that seemed to always take me out to an area called Shevac, or Papa Alpha Victor Alpha, and it was about a 40-minute flight, caravan time. Had to go over some really awesome like lakes and rivers and things like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here on SkyVector. It's just kind of like you said, kind of like the Everglades, really just rural, open, not very mountainous in Alaska.
Right.
It's like on the way western
Right.
side there.
Right. And then if you want to keep looking out west, there's Hooper Bay. This is okay. So I'm going to tell you what my favorite airports are. Okay, Hooper Bay is Alpha Hotel Papa, or Papa Alpha Hotel Papa, and it sits on the western edge of Alaska. It's just absolutely gorgeous, right?
Okay.
It's just really pretty out there, man. So I love going to Hooper Bay. But then what you would do is you would go north and you'd go to Scammon Bay,
Mm-hmm.
and Scammon Bay was like, there's like a picture out of damn Narnia, dude. I don't even know. It sits on like this like little light mountain. I don't know, maybe like 3,000-foot mountain or something like that. And it just sits in like this little cove, and you come out over the water. If you're landing on runway like 11, like you do your base to final, and like you come over this river, like they're all down there like doing their SEAL shit, no machines or whatever, and like the
Yeah.
runway itself was treacherous as hell. There would always be like this flooded area at one part, so you know you might have this. I don't know what it was. It was probably
Yeah, I'm looking at some photos.
it was probably like a 3,000-foot runway. It was pretty wide though. It was like 75 or 100 foot wide, but like a third of that would be covered in water. So you would really have like 1,500, 1,800 feet to stop a caravan in.
Yeah.
'Cause, dude, they only like grade these things like once a year, man. If you're lucky, right? Now with the government shut down, dude, I bet they're having a really good time up there.
Is it like gravel? Was it fully paved? I'm
It's
looking at
gravel,
pictures.
dude. It's
Yeah.
gravel. It's gravel. Yeah, it's gravel.
It's just
Bethel was paved.
yeah, scamming, dude. It's just like a little strip that they cut out there, and then there's a tiny little village right next to it. And
Yeah,
that's
man.
it.
That's it. Um, so then my other favorite ones is St. Mary's. St. Mary's is really cool because it sits on top of a mountain. And then you got Little Mountain, which is just northwest of that. Those were always really fun to go to. And then one more was Eek. Here, hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, no, Imonic. Excuse me. Imonic. Papa Alpha Echo Mike. Imonic now had their own caravan up there, and like everybody wanted to like go to Imonic, I guess. It was just pretty cool. Like you're there, but once in a blue moon, especially like in hunting season, like you'll get an extra caravan up there because you know they're all hunting and fishing. You got to bring stuff up there. And then lastly, there's a little island off of Western Alaska. Like if you come off of Hooper's Bay or whatever, you go to New York. I always say it wrong. Papa Alpha Mike Yankee.
Pammy. Yeah.
Yeah, Pammy.
The Nunavut Islands.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's it.
Dude.
So that's the farthest west I've been. I did a flight out there, and That's probably about an hour flight from there to Bethel, maybe an hour and 20 minutes, something like that. I always like the longer flights, man. Now they fly what's called the sled or the 207s, and those are the 500-hour commercial pilots, right? And if you look at Bethel and you zoom in, Bethel has all these like little tiny airports surrounding them, and that's where all the 207s go. And those guys are the actual workhorses, man.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah, so
Dude,
they hump, man. So
that area is pretty
It's
sick,
sick.
man. It's definitely like a different kind of Alaska than I thought it would be because it's a lot of flat. But dude, I
it's
bet it's
flat
beautiful.
as flat can be until you get to the coast. Now, if you come down to well, and then of course we're ferrying airplanes back to Anchorage, and then from Anchorage sometimes they're going down to Seattle for major, like their 25,000. I think they even brought some to Ohio to I think Castle is another major. I know Martin is a big major airframe place too. I believe they specialize in the Caravan. So there's a lot of ferry opportunities too, man. So I got to do a ride down the coastline there, and that was cool for business because when we originally were in Ferry Direct Aviation, we were pulling some airplanes out of there.
That's
You
sick.
know, so that's how I learned that. That's how I learned the routes out of Alaska.
Crazy, man. Dude, that's awesome.
That's hair raising. Yeah, man.
So you got some turbine time and then decided,
Yeah.
it is kind of rough on the family. You had also mentioned that, I mean, the conditions that you're living in are also kind of rough. I mean, like,
Well, the conditions were awful, man. We lived in these pilot homes, and dude, like it's like it is exactly what you think it's going to be, man. I was deployed before. I mean, it's exactly what you think it's going to be. Like you literally look like you're living on the moon out there, right? And you live in a house full of a bunch of guys, man, and I lived in a hotel. That's what they call it. They call it the hotel. And so God, we had like 6 or 8 guys with us, man. We were out of water in like 3 fucking days. They come and they fill this big like 500-gallon tank of water, and that's what you use like for your washing, your dishes, and
Everything.
showers.
Damn.
So you always got some dumb motherfucker trying to take like they bring back a Thunder Wookie or something like that, dude, and smash, and then they're in the shower, and and then
Wasting
they
all the
roll
water.
the water
Oh,
out.
no.
That's right, dude. And then yeah, man, dude, it was just freaking awful. But as far as like stick and rudder time, man, like I don't think I've ever been challenged enough again as I was flying in Alaska.
That's super cool.
Yeah, dude, the aeronautical decision making that you have to know. But I will say one funny thing, dude. I will say one funny thing, right? They don't blink an eye at like 500 in a mile overcast, right? Like they don't even think twice. They're like, oh, that's VFR all day. They see a thunderstorm, bro, and they fucking shit themselves. Okay?
Yeah, that's true.
So
yeah.
just quick story, man. Just one day, like we were coming out of Bethel, and it was like slightly convective, dude. I wouldn't even say like, I'm in South Florida, brother.
Every single day at 3:00 in the afternoon.
I mean, yeah, dude. So perspective has a lot to do with it. And they were just like, no, we're not going to fly on the line. Like we're gonna just, we'll do it later.
Yeah.
It's like I can see blue sky. We can just go around them. I was like, what? What do you mean? Yeah, it was just weird, dude.
I got a quick thunderstorm story for you. So I was taking off out of Vero Beach. Had just gotten down there. And luckily the clients, like, they know Florida well. So they're like, all right, let's take off early, get down there. I dropped them at noon. I had, like, got a nice sandwich from that restaurant right there on the airport. They filled up. I was, like, taking off within 30 minutes, dude. And I took off, and literally I have pictures of this. There was just, like, a thunderstorm that was, like, they were popping up all up and down the whole East Coast. Just like they do every afternoon. And dude, I have a picture looking back, you can see the runway, and then all around it, like again, the horseshoe was just gray rain and clouds and shit. And I was like, ooh, I just got out in time. And literally I heard all the kids that were going back into the flight school, and they're like, we're going to divert because, it's right on top of the airport right now. So then ATC was like, hey man, I got a shortcut for you to get you back to North Carolina if you're willing to go like pretty far out over open water. And I'm like literally looking up the entire coast of Florida, and I was like, get me as far away from the coast as you can. So dude, he put me like 30 miles offshore, and I was just in like smooth, nice air. And then you freak yourself out a little bit, and you're like, well, damn, I'm so far out here. Like, if
something happens,
if both of these things catch on fire, I'm literally looking for like any nearby boat and glide into that. And so then I just had to sit up there. But you gotta like calm yourself down in those situations. So I literally just looked at my phone and played games just to like chill for a little bit. And and then it was smooth sailing home. But
I hired a kid back in February. His name's Saul Rodriguez, and one of his flights that we did, we flew a family. We were teaching a family. Well, we were teaching a guy how to fly international through Mexico and Belize. You know, he was a Meridian pilot. He went back and bought a Saratoga. So, you know, he didn't have the same performance. And, dude, flying over 500 miles of open water.
Woo!
Dude.
Yeah, recently for the pod, I talked to a CFI in Hawaii. And there, you know, they have those cross country different FARs for them for cross country requirements since they can't fly as far. But there is one hop that he did where it's like 58 miles of open water between the islands. And he's like, dude, we do it every day. Like, it's not even a blink. And I'm like, yo, that would scare me a little bit.
Hold on though, Nick. Hold on a second. Wait a second. When we went to Iqaluit, how far did we call?
The
first one was 25 miles. That wasn't that big of a deal. But the second one,
well, when we went back the second time,
60 miles, dude.
You talking about the route we took the second time?
Oh, that's right. We crossed the big water the second time, didn't we? Because
we had to dodge a freezing cell. All right, so next up, we're gonna talk about the craziest ferry flight that I ever got to do with Nathan.
Gosh. Oh, God.
I can't remember. I think it was like 2023 maybe. And I had just gotten back from the Caribbean. And again, I thought I had screwed up. I thought I burnt a bridge by bailing on you last minute. But you were like, hey, man, I just put this team of pilots together. We're going to go to northern Canada up in the Arctic Circle near Greenland, rescue some 172s, and take them to South Florida. Are you in? And I was like, hell yeah, that sounds like the trip of a lifetime.
Yes, man.
So tell everybody like how you found that deal and then the details about it, and then we'll talk about, you know, everybody getting up and all that.
Terrain. Pull up.
Let's take a moment to hear from today's sponsor, Pretzels. When you're 30,000 feet up and hunger strikes, Pretzels are here to help. Are they exciting? No. Are they moist? Absolutely not. Are they expired? We aren't sure, but honestly, it doesn't matter. Pretzels. Not the snack you want, but it's the snack you get.
Yeah, man. So remember, I had been ferrying for Airmark for quite some time, and Adam over there knew the third party, I guess you could say. Third party was looking immediately for somebody that could handle this deal. Since they hired, and I'm just going to go ahead and say different names. That way we don't put anybody on blast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's all anonymous. All of this, it's all allegedly. Everything on this whole podcast is allegedly. Nothing is true. Everything is fictional. Every single word that we've said.
That's right. So let's just say there was a European ferry pilot company that was hired to move 11 172s to a country that you like to eat at Thanksgiving.
There we go. It rhymes with jerky.
Right. That's right. And it appeared that they brought some pretty inexperienced pilots with them from their local flight school or whatnot, 250 to 300-hour pilots, and they blasted off Wichita. They blasted off in Kansas. Yeah.
So this country wanted to buy some brand new 172s for their airline program, and they had the bold idea to send new graduates from their flight school to the United States to get 172s to cross the pond and go to Europe and then down into this country, which is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God, right? So And here's where the rumor mill is, and I cannot confirm or deny this, but I was told that they were given $5,000 per airplane to put ferry tanks on there, which seems logical to me.
Yeah, you would need it. Dude. You need that fuel.
I think what they did was pocket some money, and they got 20-gallon jerry cans per some of the witnesses, I guess, that had reported, what they were doing, because instead of them flying up the New England corridor up through Bangor and then going up like the way we did through Quebec and Supplies and then up to Kuujjuaq and then into Iqaluit, they decided to cross the fucking Hudson Bay. All right, and in brand new 2023 Cessnas, man, landing at all of these like dirt gravel strips up there, and they were probably just dumping jerry cans in, right? Remember, because we looked at their routing. So apparently they landed at night in IMC, and the 11th man didn't make it in.
That's right. So we get up there and we see that this plane, was smushed, and it's easy to see how, because we got stuck, and so. Jumping back into kind of, I guess, the timeline. You called me. I said yes. Where did we fly into?
Was it Quebec, wasn't it? It was Quebec.
Okay, sorry. So
yeah, we ended up in Quebec.
All right. So we all land in Quebec, and we all kind of get to meet each other and whatnot. Went out to dinner, had some drinks, had a wonderful time, got a little drunk, because the next day we just had to jump on another airliner. We were going on. What was it called? I remember
oh my God.
It was the airline was called like Northern Canada, and their slogan was "Seriously North," and it was like this old clapped out 737, and we landed on like a rinky dink little runway way up in the boonies. If anybody wants to look, Iqaluit, it's IQUALET, I believe, or something like that. And what's the identifier?
Okay, Charlie Yankee Foxtrot Bravo.
All right, there it is.
Hey, I'll say this much though: Iqaluit had some dope ass like breweries. Okay, like they had 3 big bars there.
Yeah, it was. There was zero grass. There was zero trees. It was all rock, and it was fucking cold as balls. And it was like September 1st, and so we're up there in Eskimo territory. I was so blown away when I looked at the safety card in the seat back pocket, and there's this language is literally just like triangles and squares and squiggly lines. It's all shaped. There's no letters. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And when you get in the airport,
their language,
you learn the Inuit language, and like it was everywhere. Like people still read that shit to this day, and it literally was just shapes. I was so blown away. So we get up to Iqaluit, and we see these like 10 airplanes. One of them got smushed. We saw the wreckage. It was horrible. A bunch of the propellers were all dinged up from them landing on like gravel strip. And dude, we looked at the Hobbs meter, and each of these planes had like 19 hours on them. They still had the initial oil, like that. They didn't even go through the oil change or nothing yet. Like these things were brand spanking new. So we had our plan in place, and we spent the night in Iqaluit one night and blasted off. And of course, we took the 5 good airplanes. We didn't take the ones that needed some damage. Luckily, there was a mechanic on site who was, gonna fix some shit.
Well, they dressed. They were all chewed up. That day he dressed. Remember, they worked late that night dressing them.
There you go.
And big thing. Remember, Nick, we didn't have any GPS systems. So
that's right, because this fucking guy made the mistake. We had no databases on the panel, so we were just using our iPads to get through this crap. And the funniest thing too is we woke up in the morning, we're like, oh great, there was a frost last night and all these planes were parked outside, so we had to get a bunch of Cessna 172s de-iced with the de-ice truck. And I think you told me it cost like $800 just to pull that truck out of the hangar.
And it was a bill.
So that was a big bill. So we take off out of Iqaluit. We knew of this one place south of there that was the only place that we could make it to that sold avgas. We were way up in the boonies. And that place was called
Kuujjuaq.
Yeah.
Kuujjuaq.
So we landed.
It's just south of
Kuujjuaq.
Bay. Kuujjuaq. Yeah.
Charlie Yankee Victor Papa, and they only sold avgas because one dude had a helicopter up there. Other than that, there was no need. So we had to buy avgas by the barrel, whether we use it or not. And
it was like $1,000 a barrel.
And you had brought the tools that we needed to hand crank out of a barrel of oil up into the wing of a plane. That was nuts to see, dude.
Yeah, man. Did you even know that? Here's my question, Nick. Like, if you would have like just got this ferry trip, would you have known to bring a pump and a handle?
Hell fucking
Didn't know
no.
to do that.
I didn't even know that's.
Exactly.
Look, I'll be honest. There were some. I love the saying, too many chiefs, not enough Indians. All right. And we definitely had a couple of chiefs on that flight, and certain guys took a great role doing certain tasks. And
Yep.
I just kind of soaked it in, dude. I was literally the caboose. And so, like, I didn't even know that was happening until we got down. And then you're like, we got to hand pump this shit. I'm like, what? So, yeah. So from Kuujjuaq, then we went down. Well, that was just so nutty. And then you couldn't pay for the fuel. I remember they didn't have a card reader or something, or the guy wasn't there, and we literally wrote on a sticky note like your name, your phone number,
my credit card information.
Yeah, and it was like I owe you like $2,000 for this fuel that we just used, and we left the tools there too. I remember we left like the pumps and shit because you knew that we couldn't take it through TSA a second time, and
That's right.
And you're like, we'll be back in like 10 days. And dude, it was just so funny. Like the Canadian vibe, people are so polite. They're just like, yeah, I don't know you from Adam, but that's cool, man. I'll see you in 10 days. Cool. It was so funny.
Yep. Yeah, man. And what was weird is I go back there and I finally find them, 10 days later, and like that's when we actually like paid for the fuel and everything. Like they never paid for it.
It's so hilarious.
It was just so wild. I was like, dude, like if that happened in America, that would have been someone's job, dude.
Oh yeah.
But,
so
yeah, Kuujjuaq was cool, and then
from there we went south. From there we went south to Sept-Îles, which is like some French. Yeah, it looks like Sept Isles in English, but that was way down there, and dude, that's the coolest flying that I ever got to do.
That was definitely the coolest part. Were you? I can't remember. Was it the first time that we went and we were doing Nap of the Earth? Like we were down to the deck, like flying over all the trees that were changing colors. And,
you guys.
Yeah, man.
I got all the way down because we had to get away from a bunch of moisture and some cold temperatures. One time when we had to shoot that approach into Kuujjuaq, like you were calling out to everybody. All right.
Yeah.
Still no ice, and you broke out. But yeah, we flew over just a vast wilderness. Like there's zero population. It's just bears. And you took it all the way down to 100 feet along with some of the other guys. I was a little too chicken. I stayed at 500 feet, but it was beautiful.
Yeah, you were smart. You were smart, man.
It was beautiful. So we were flying like super low. And
yeah, man, I got good video.
Yeah, you took it all the way down to 100 feet. We get to Sept-Îles, and then the funniest thing happened was it was freshly night. The sun had just set. We don't speak any French. We're in the hardcore French part of Canada. And we were like asking Tower, like, where do we park? And then we can hear him like speaking in French and then speaking in English. So we were like, we need fuel. And like there was no one at the FBO or something. And we park just like randomly on the ramp. And then we were like all about to walk into this small airport terminal. Like it was a airport big enough where they had like a small regional, think like a Embraer 135 or like a CRJ 200 or something like that, like something very small. So tiny little airport terminal. It was just like one door. And we all get out of these 172s walking up to the building, and then this guy with a little safety vest, he's like, and we're like, what the fuck, dude? And he was like, no. We're like, bruh, we gotta go inside and take a piss. So then he pulls his phone out, and through Google Translate, he's telling us, you guys do not have yellow safety vests on. You cannot move around at all.
That's right. Oh my God, that guy lost his shit.
He was like, you cannot move around on the ramp. You need to wait inside your airplane while they fuel it, and then you can take off. And we're like, why? He was like, because you don't have the safety vest. I'm like, bro, it's night. There's no one here. So they had to go and get 2 trucks, one to lead us, and then one to follow us and shine lights on us. And then he walked with us with a yellow safety vest. All of like 35 feet into this building, we were able to use the vending machine and take a piss. But we had to fill, each pilot had to fill out this whole form of like name, address, N number of your aircraft, all this shit, and then they escorted us back the 35 feet into our fucking planes. Oh my God, it was so silly.
That was outrageous, man. Yeah, and then we finally got through that that mess, and then we flew night all the way to Quebec.
Yes, and that's where it got spicy again.
That's right.
If you remember. So you had told the whole group, you were like, let's all fly with a wingman, you know, like, and if anybody goes down, like at least your wingman can kind of fly over you, circle,
Right.
like make sure that you're alive.
Yeah.
And
Was he-
at least like make a flight track, right, for, you know,
Right.
somebody to come rescue you.
Exactly.
And at this moment, we were flying. When we took off out of Set Eel, and it was like dark. I told you guys, because we were talking on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frequency just the whole time. Because it was just like 5 airplanes all like do in a line, and we're bored as shit. And so we were just talking to each other the whole route there because no one else is anywhere in the
People have
airspace.
to understand that we had already been flying like 12, 13 hours, right?
Yeah, it was like 13
Like-
hours each day, so we'd probably logged like 9 or 10 at that point.
Yeah.
So
'Cause I know from Kujak, yeah, it was a long way.
and then, dude, I told everybody on the frequency, I was like, oh, I'm starting to get the leans. Like, I'm staring at my attitude indicator and the autopilot's on, it's not moving, but I totally
remember.
feel like I'm in like a 20-degree left bank.
I remember you saying that.
And then, so we were following the water all the way back down to Montreal. And it was cool because, like, I could see well and there was no clouds. And then you guys decided to like duck lower because you wanted to go in a straight line, but you had to fly over this big wind turbine field. And you guys were dodging clouds. And I was like, fuck that. I'm going and following the river. And then I made radio follow me. And
Right?
and he wasn't that happy about it, but we only got there like 30 minutes after you guys. But I was just like, man, I just want to follow this river. I don't want to go straight.
But you know what though? I mean you were smart. You were smart by doing that. We probably could have did the same thing too. At least you're not going to hit anything going down the river, right?
Yeah, I just had like perfect visibility, so I was like, I'm just gonna stay over here, dude. But then, so we're dog shit tired. You found us a hotel, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do something nice for the boys. Like, we had already ordered some pizzas for everybody, and they were just like delivered to the hotel lobby. And on the way there,
That's right.
like we all had to get different Ubers and shit because we didn't all fit in the same car. And I was like telling the taxi driver, I was like, yo, stop at this gas station. And so I run in there. And I grabbed like 2 6-packs, just everybody have like a couple beers and some pizza. And I take it up to the counter, and the guy's like, in French. And so I hand him my ID, just trying to play it cool. And then he's like, he switches to English, and he goes, you cannot buy beer after 10:30 p.m. And I'm like, what? He goes, that's the law. You cannot buy beer after 10:30 p.m.
And it was
in this territory. And I
God,
was
it like
like
a Friday night.
I was like, this place blows, dude. We just wanted to have a beer with our pizza and go to sleep. So we just ate pizza and drank Gatorade and went to bed and then continued the trek.
Was it like a normal day of the week or like
Yeah, bro. It was just that like French territory in Canada, and I was like, you guys
they're super
suck.
strict?
You guys are you all speak English. You don't want to talk to me in English, and you don't even want to sell beer after 10:30 p.m. I was like, this is you said this place is communism. So
Yeah, man. So
then we took off from Montreal, and initially the plan that you wanted us to do was we're going to go to Bangor, Maine, and go through customs there, but we couldn't because there was a freaking tornado in Maine.
hurricane.
Yeah,
What was the name of that thing, dude? It was.
I can't remember.
God, I don't know. I didn't even look it up. I was gonna look it up, but Hurricane Lee.
Hurricane Lee was hitting Maine, so we couldn't go that way. So instead, we had to pivot, and we went to
Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo, New York, and that was a godsend because that customs guy.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, like when you're importing airplanes in and out of the United States, especially when they're like foreign, right? There's a huge amount of paperwork that has to go along with this. And our issue was is that we never technically, I guess, exported them.
We did not.
We didn't export them. So like all we needed to do is like have the old paperwork, but the broker had everything set up for Bangor. And then we changed it at the last minute, and this customs guy, man, he was awesome. He just made everything happen.
Yeah, he literally. It was great. We landed. He was like, "Oh, you guys were going across the pond to Europe, but you had to come back." And he was like, "Oh, we'll just call it return of goods." And I was like,
"That's right, return of goods."
I was like, "Bro, that's so sick." He's like, "I've been doing this business 25 years. You boys are fine. Get on out of here." You know.
That's right, man. He got us all out,
dude. Yeah, and so I'll never forget when we took off from Montreal. I was really impressed at the air traffic controller speaking in French and English at the same time, back to back, and they know who speaks what language. Cool. That was pretty wild.
That was really cool. That was
So when we first crossed over, we all breathed like a huge sigh of relief because we were like, we know the rules now here for airspace. Like,
yeah, man, because Canada was weird, dude.
it was. You had
Right?
to call flight service on the phone, and you had to file a VFR flight plan for each plane. And thank God we had this guy from the military, call sign radio. He literally took care of all that shit. Yeah, Kyle, dude.
Yeah. So that was I hired Kyle to make sure he did all this.
Yeah, man. And so when we crossed the fucking border, it was like, and I remember we called into New York approach, and there was 5 of us, and I was the last one, and it was Tango Charlie, Tango Romeo Bravo, I think was my aircraft. But
That's right.
They all started with Tango Charlie, and then zero numbers. And so by the time the ATC guy had to say the 5th, Tango Charlie, Tango Romeo Bravo, and the other one was like Tango Charlie, Tango Romeo Yankee. And he was like, when he passed me off from New York to, I think it was, New York, I can't remember what center, but
whatever, boss.
He literally goes, you're the last one in your crew, right? And I go, yeah. He goes, good. I'm so tired of saying your stupid call sign. Like, it was the worst. And everybody was asking us, they're like, what the hell are these call signs? And like, you would say on the radio, you were like, all right, who wants to take it this time? Explain it to the controller. And we'd have to be like, they're on their way to Europe, and then we had to turn back, and we're taking them to Florida, and we're going to put them on a cargo ship and send them that way. And they'd be like, oh, that's crazy.
And real quick, going back to how we got this job was exactly that. I partnered with Brad Neal out of Lakeland, Florida. Brad Neal famously removes wings and containers and ships, and I met him through just some other local contacts, man. And when we were putting this whole project together, you got to understand, man, this was probably $250,000 north fuck up.
Yeah,
Plus
huge.
destroying the airplane. You know, I mean, this is a pretty big fuck up. So,
and we never mentioned that. Thank God the pilot walked away with 0 injury, just a couple of minor scrapes.
Yeah, he was safe.
And the asshole who was initially the lead pilot, he just the minute that he saw the airplane crash, he fled, and he was never heard of from again.
Yeah, I don't know whatever happened to them. Legally, I don't even know what could have happened to them, but yeah, just a real sad situation, man. And I'm just glad that I'm glad that we were able to get in there, man. We had a great crew, man. We really did. We had a great crew. Yeah. And
but we're not even done.
That's how we sold it, man.
Yeah. Okay, take it away from right there then, because we had just talked about the customs guy, and then we blasted off from Buffalo, and we're racing to Lakeland because we had to beat more bad weather because of that hurricane. And so we were like, we have to do this whole trip in this 2-day window. Yeah. So from Buffalo, it was just a mad dash to get all the way down to Lakeland, Florida. And it was kind of like we all had like a plan of the route, but it was like, if you guys want to go any way that you want, just get your ass to Lakeland by this evening.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much at this point, like everybody was back in the United States. I kind of, backed off everybody, and I said, "Hey, if you pretty much need to sleep, you need to sleep. If you need to go, you can go." And just park the plane in Lakeland, and just send me your itemized receipts, and we'll get you paid out. So yeah, it was kind of like a dash to Florida at that point. But what happened is when we were parked on the ramp there, remember, the ramp was slightly at an angle. And when they went to go fuel us on this particular 172, do you remember like when we were filling in a Callaway, like you would fill it and it would start bubbling out, and you would have to wait for like a few minutes for it to rise back up? And I guess it's kind of quirky on the 2023 Cessnas. I don't know, but we were shorted about 10 gallons of gas each, weren't we?
Yeah. And so.
Because you had to divert, didn't you?
Yeah, some guys wanted to stretch it and get to North Carolina, and they did. But then when they got there, they realized, like, oh crap, I was like basically on fumes. And then when they were telling us that, I was already a little slow. And again, I was with radio. He was double dipping. He told an instrument student to tag along with him, so they could log all that. So he was getting paid for the ferry and from a student, and he told me he was just sleeping over there. And I was like, I don't even want to worry about that. So we just dipped. Instead of going to Raleigh, my hometown, we dipped to Lynchburg, Virginia, and just got some fuel. And then you and I and radio, we also had to hit one more fuel stop in like bumfuck Georgia. And
Yeah, I
there
remember
was
that.
there was a map inside, and it was like, put a pin in the wall and show us where you came from. And we literally went and put a pin like way up in the roof, or like in the top of the wall with a sticky note that said Iqaluit, Canada. And I've randomly ended up at that airport a couple of times since then, and
And
I
was it there?
see the sticky note is still stuck up there because we were trying to
I
show.
love it. Do you remember what the name of the airport was?
I
Oh
can't
man, you gotta
remember.
tell me because I'm gonna literally fly there.
I
I'll fly
can't.
there and figure it out.
I'll
But
figure it out. I'll look at my logbook, but
yeah, and then so on the first so this is the first track, right? So yeah, it's like a dash to the dash home, and
dude, and I'll tell you what, man, I was pretty tired because you, me, and Radio, we all stopped in Georgia. We got our last fuel, and then we hit Lakeland, and some of the other guys that they stopped other places and they beat us there. But that last leg, dude, I was so dog tired after day 2 of doing that. 13 hours in the plane each day, flying all through the night. Luckily, one of the guys had these he had like these little like Nutrigrain bars, but each little bar counted as like a whole entire espresso. And so I ate like 4 of those things because, dude, coming into Florida at night, I was so tired, and like the caffeine was keeping me awake just fine. But like I could tell my body was dragging ass, and I remember getting, and again, we didn't have the databases in the G1000 on the Cessna, so it was hard. And like, I mean, I could navigate with my iPad, but getting to the airport in Lakeland at night, tired, and so many lights in Florida, like I couldn't find it. If you remember this part,
I 100% remember this because I was right behind you, brother.
Yeah, and so I saw the beacon, and I told the controller, I was like, "Can you turn up all of the airport, like turn up the runway lights?" But he turned up the lights to the entire airport, and so he cleared me to land like runway 20, and I land runway 24, and you were right behind me, and you call, "Okay, I'm on final for 20," and the tower's like, "Your friend just landed on 24." And then you said, "Oh, going around," and dude, I was like, "Oh shit!"
So,
I started sweating bullets because I was like, "Oh fuck!" But it was like 3 a.m. at that point, and the controller luckily was like, "You're good, man. Just go to the FBO. You guys are tired." I just couldn't believe that I landed on the wrong runway.
God, how many hours was that whole entire trip, dude?
It was 26 because it was 13 each day.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, that's right. It was like almost 26 hours for Iqaluit. And sadly, like, when you're getting paid to do a job, right? You kind of have to do the job, right?
Yeah, you got to get it done.
It's on that fine line between I'm safe and like you have to get the job done. And I don't think we were ever extremely unsafe. I think at most, like, I think the environment wore us out for so much. I think not having the database, going through weather for hours.
And then, luckily you live kind of near there, so you jumped in a car and you went home. And thank God at the time my sister was living right there in Lakeland, so I caught an Uber to her place and I crashed, and then I went home the next day. But then we went right back up to Canada, all 5 of us, and we did that whole trip a second time. And as you're saying, with I'm Safe and that, we had already done it once, and then we decided as a group, this time we're going to do it over 3 days. We're not going to do it in 2 days. And it went a lot smoother. And that time was kind of,
a lot more.
Dude, we had a lot more fun on that second one. Am I right?
That second time was lit. Knoxville was a good damn time,
dude.
Wasn't it, buddy?
Yeah. You had suggested, hey guys, let's and we had like no real weather that route, and we got stuck in Canada for an extra night down there in Quebec. We got to explore the city. Then we got stuck in Iqaluit because
why did we get stuck there again?
I don't know, dude, but it was super dope. You took us to like a really fancy dinner. That shit was nice.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah.
And then we got back up to Iqaluit. We got stuck in Iqaluit for like 2 days because it was like all socked in. And then
that's when we found the damn pubs and stuff.
Yeah.
I think Radio went to the movies and.
Yeah, we went and saw this like super cool movie. Yeah, we had fun in that town, and then we flew it. And then you had that great idea of everybody, let's stop in Knoxville right before we just deliver the planes. And let's go out to dinner. Let's have some drinks, dude. And we had fun. We had too much fun. Some people were missing on roll call the next day.
Hey, we ain't gonna be. I might notice the people.
I
there,
mean,
man.
I'm talking about
know?
little young Kyle, dude. He was nowhere to be found. But from Kentucky
Oh,
to
dude.
Lakeland again, it was like just mad dash. Everybody can go their own way. But what was crazy was on
Oh God,
on,
this is when it kind of gets dark.
on the Florida
Go
Georgia
on.
line when we had this
Uh,
squall line of thunderstorms passing through, and
yeah.
dude, and thank
So
God for radio, man. But tell me what happened to you.
hold on, man. So was it you and radio that you guys went to the? Because remember, like in Florida, like usually you can find a way around
We
storms.
literally went to the
We
furthest.
split up.
We went all the way to the furthest west point of Florida.
That's right.
I think
All
we
right.
even landed in Alabama, and we went and said, "Fuck it, we're gonna wait for the storm to pass and go eat Mexican food."
That's
And,
right.
and while we were sitting in beautiful blue sky, we saw young Kyle fly this
Oh
172
my God.
right through like a dark purple cell,
So
and we were looking on FlightAware at his like altitude, and he was going up and down 1,000 feet of altitude like within seconds. He was getting
do you know that
churned.
kid? You know that kid got a jet job on a Challenger like
Right
2 weeks
after
later?
this. Yeah, right after this. And then he's like, whatever, dude, it's Florida. We do this shit every day. It's totally fine. And I was like, you're
kid-
retarded. That was so dumb.
So I was right behind him by like I don't know 5-10 minutes. We were behind each other, and I'm telling you right now, man, it was building up all around us. I mean, it was building up, and I mean, we were just going through some just towering cumulus, some just buildups, and I mean, I was getting my shit rocked, dude. And as we're coming through the or well, not the panhandle, as we're coming down the like Taylor VOR, right on the Valdosta, Georgia line. Hold on, let me look here real quick. I found a little hole right below me with an airport, and like I spiraled down. I mean, I literally did like BNE spiral down to this airport, like no flap landing. I mean, just I smoked it onto the runway, dude. Used all the momentum, got to the end of the runway, and I tied it down. And I swear to God, not even 2 minutes later, it was like the monsooning. I never had seen it rain so hard. And here's Kyle, little Kyle, man, 10,000 feet or whatever he was, popping through the tops of these like massive buildups. I don't know how that kid lives.
Dude, it was crazy. Like, I hope that was his come to Jesus moment because that was so dumb. And, you know, Radio and I were just sitting there literally eating chips and queso, watching this on our phones, like with zero stress in blue sky, eating Mexican food, being like,
exactly.
why would he do that to himself? So,
I told him, I told that kid not to do that.
Yeah. So it's like, just go around the weather or stop and just wait, just so silly.
Of course the client called and was like, dude, we literally just watched you fly through a thunderstorm. And
yeah,
how do you argue that in the day of ADSB? And there's only one plane out of the last 4 that did it, right?
Right. Yeah.
There's always one.
Looked pretty silly, but yeah, man, that was our Canada trip. We ran it twice. Did I think it was 2,200 miles twice.
It was incredible, dude.
It was something.
It was a lot harder to go north and south than it is to go east and west.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. So if you don't mind me asking, a lot of these expenses fell on you, like as we were doing it.
Yeah, man.
And I think even at one point you're like, I maxed out my credit card. So in terms of expenses, like how much did you spend for this whole excursion? And like, what did they have to reimburse you for just expenses wise, not even like what you paid us and all that stuff?
Yeah, man. So I would have to go back and like double check.
You think like 60 grand?
I'm thinking it was like in the mid 50s.
Yeah, because I remember you bought all of our airline tickets, all of our hotels,
all the airline tickets,
all
that
hotels,
shit, all the food per diem.
Right.
Fuel in Canada was $5,000, $6,000. Well, you know what got me, and here's a huge learning lesson for me, Nick. Like when I got back home, I started itemizing all this stuff up, and like, man, I'm just like, dude, this is big fucking money, dude. Like, right?
You're right.
Like, this is big boy money. So I send out this damn bill, and the client laughs and sends the email back, and he goes, "Why don't you convert that back to American dollars?"
Yeah,
I forgot to convert it.
Oh, okay.
I had put everything in American dollars, is what I think I did.
Okay.
And like, so like, when I gave him the bill in U.S. dollar, he was like, "No, you need to convert that to Canada because, like, it's a third difference."
Oh,
I
that's
was like,
funny. That's
"Oh."
funny. That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, so big learning lesson. Anyway, it was such a fun trip, man. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, brother. You know what I mean? Like I had an opportunity, and as any young entrepreneur out there, man, if you get an opportunity, you gotta damn do it, man. You can't not do that.
Yeah.
Are
No,
you
that's
trying
cool.
to tell me right now somebody calls you up and says, "Hey, I need to rescue 10 airplanes out"? Bro, just the planning and logistics alone, dude, was incredible. I mean, calling up Brad, just being like, "Dude, can you do this? Because if this dude can do this," I think our payday was
That's pretty good.
50
I
grand
think.
towing. It was
Yeah,
it
I
was a
think you
good
gave me
payday.
like $3,000 out of it, which was sick.
Yeah,
And I mean,
yeah.
a lot of those guys, a couple of the guys on our trip, they all said like, "Yo,
It was 50 grand.
I have an airline gig that starts a week after I get
Yeah,
home. I'm literally just doing this for the story." So
yeah.
it was sick. Like I'm saying, I would have done it for free, but then I also got a nice paycheck out of it too.
You did get everybody got good, man, and we negotiated for you because I gotta be honest with you, dude. When we first got out there, they didn't tell us that. They didn't tell us. So first of all, they told us that we're going to have ferry tanks, so our timeline and our routing was going to be different.
Right. We
We
could have
would
just
have
done
made
it all like
Bangor.
in
We
one
would have made
shot.
Bangor. Right. We would have made Bangor on day one, dude.
Yeah.
And so that kind of adjusted some things. So we fought for some more money and things like that. But my learning lesson is making sure that just because it's my company doesn't mean I was in charge, and that's why we hired Kyle Songrass. We call him AKA Radio. He was a military flight engineer or something like that. Real
He's
smart guy.
he's an aircraft mechanic on a KC-135.
That's right. Yeah, and CFI and whole 9 yards. And that kid that came with us, Jay Timberlake was his name, and now
Yeah.
he's a CFII up in the area, man. He's doing great.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, man, just putting other people in charge, dude. I could sit back and pay attention to more things, Um, one in a lifetime opportunity. I haven't done anything that cool since maybe flying down to Belize or South America. I've done a couple trips down to South America. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, you did do some flying to Mexico recently. Let's talk about that. How tight
Holy shit.
were you
All right,
clenching
man.
your butthole when you took off from Florida and you just went straight over the Gulf of Mexico out to the tip of
So,
eastern Mexico?
so
It's
let
like
me tell
three-
you this damn.
I
Let me
think-
tell you this damn story. I got a call from this guy who used to own and this guy is just big New Yorker, right? Big New York accent, kind of like that jerky boy attitude, It's just typical New York, right? And he had downgraded to a turbo Saratoga. He's never flown one of these fucking dogs, bro. They're thirsty, slow ass airplanes, okay? But they carry the entire fucking house, right? A usual load of like 1,700 pounds, like, right? They'll just one more pound. So anyway, I had my company instructor with me, so he came down with us because I wanted to train him in some international flight, and that's what we're doing. We're just putting on a trip for this guy. He has not flown piston airplanes out over the water, and he really just wanted somebody that had some experience to do that, and that was us. So we ended up setting out May 13th, and we met in Key West. We launched from Key West, but the issue is that as we progressively got farther west, the winds were going to get more and more. So we're flying along, and dude, we have a ground speed of shit, dude. We're climbing out of Key West, and like we have a ground speed of like 85 knots, and we're burning like 29 gallons an hour to climb to like 4,500, 6,500 feet, like, right? Like we're getting nowhere. And I kind of let this go on. Saul's in the back with another gentleman in the owner's left seat. I'm right seat, and just safety piloting, right? So we get about an hour down the way, man, and like we had barely just got to our cruising altitude of like 8,000 feet, right? And it burned a shit ton of fuel getting up there.
Damn.
We level out, and we have 44 knots to the nose, and like it was only supposed to be forecasted for like 25. So I was like, damn, dude, making Belize in one shot, regardless if we have 100-gallon tanks or not, making Belize 600 nautical mile flight, probably not going to happen. So like, let's see what this guy wants. Well, in my typical fashion, We'll just say the pilot is just very type A kind of he's very New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know the type.
You know the type. He's just very New York, and he's not picking up what me and Saul are putting down because he's kind of just focused on one thing. So I ended up asking him. I said, hey, we'll just say his name's Bill. I said, hey, Bill, I got a question to ask you. I said, do you want to have Cuban sandwiches for dinner, or do you want to have tacos, brother?
Right.
I said, which one do you want to have? You know, because like making Key West, like, dude, we're at the point of no return. Like, we're either going to fucking Cuba or we got to go to Cozumel because, like, dude, we're not going to make Belize.
Yeah.
And I think when we calculated, Saul and I calculated, we would have made it to Belize City with like 8 gallons of gas. And I'm sorry, that's not good enough in
Dude,
a Turbo Saratoga for me. Like, right?
That's basically showing up with droplets in the tank.
So here's the problem, brother. Here's the problem, okay? We're definitely not going to Cuba, okay? That really honestly wasn't an option. But in Mexico, you have to get what's, I guess, like what it is. It's like a multi-day pass or multi-pass. And it allows you to come in and out of the country for 180 days. But in order to submit those documents, you need to give them some lead time, like, you know, at least a few business days of lead time. You have to send like a picture of the airplane, like all this documentation.
Interesting.
So we don't have that. So, and I know that Mexico and the United States, you know, we're kicking Pedro out of the United States. The Mexican leader, you know, Mexican like president doesn't really like Trump. Like, dude, this could, and we have the most New York fucking team ever on this airplane, right?
Oh goodness.
Just brash. And none of us speak Spanish except for Saul, and that's why Saul got to come. Like, honestly, anyways,
that's
love
okay.
you, buddy.
The translator is
But,
important.
So here we go. We're kind of like in a fuel emergency, and I probably should not let it go on as long as I did, but I did. And so I called up air traffic control when we were able to start talking to them. I said, hey, listen, we're going to have to make a precautionary landing in Cozumel. Like, we don't have a choice. We're not going back to the United States. Like, It's too risky to go back there at this point. And they were just like, oh, yeah, sure, come on, right on. And I knew I knew something right there was bad, okay? Because you just don't say come on to Mexico without doing some paperwork. When we landed there, man, I tell you what, the whole entire airplane was surrounded by, like, 9 canine dogs. They made us pull everything out. And, like, none of us speak English, or none of us speak Spanish. So here's Saul. He's 21 years old, CFI IIMEI, right? First, like, international flight. Bro, it has to translate, right?
Oh no!
But he's Dominican, right? He's Dominican Spanish.
Yeah,
and
Mexico
like,
Spanish, totally different.
And like he's like first generation English.
Yeah.
So Spanish is actually a
second language. I know the type. Yeah.
So
you
can imagine, man.
Oh.
You can imagine. They're just like riddling this shit off.
Oh,
dude.
that's so funny.
Dude, he's doing it like a tramp. Well, long story short, in Cozumel is just this like super long runway, and there is a fuck ton of paperwork for Mexico, man. So, like, not only do we have to go in, we have to clear immigration, right?
I've heard this, and I've heard that there's, like, not a digital way of doing it. When you say paperwork, it's actually on paper, which is ridiculous.
Like, literally on paper. And I will do you solid, man, for this video. I will send you some photos, man, of us doing this paperwork. And, like, you were going from customs to immigration. Like, you're just bouncing all over it, and you're walking back and forth. Dude, it took us 4 hours, dude. 4 hours to clear all of us. So we ended up getting out of there. 2-hour flight down to Belize City, man. We walk off the fucking airplane in Belize City, walk inside, show them our passports. They're like, are you bringing any guns or bombs in here? And we're like, fucking no. They're like, good, have a good time.
What a mess.
Like, that's it, man. And then we drove like another 2 hours down to Palencia.
Fucking Mexico. That's so funny.
Saul and I rented dirt bikes for 2 days, and we rode all over that country.
I remember talking to you. You literally just sent me a picture of like a beautiful beach backdrop, and you're like, "I got stuck in Central America, and I'm not mad at all." And I was like, "That's awesome, bro." I was so jealous of that adventure you were on.
Well, dude, like I said, my stories get better, man. Like, so, like, we're down there in Mexico, we're down there in Belize, and like we get invited to go on like the original like Aborigines that fish and shit like that. I forget what they call them. and dude, like night fishing, man.
Whoa.
And then like they ended up giving us like $50 worth of fish. So we had like this big fish cookout. Like the police commissioner, like this guy that we flew for down there that had this beautiful house on the beach, like knew like the police commissioner or whatever of Palencia. So like
Nice.
he came out to the house and like, bro, we were having drinks, and that dude like helped grill up some fish, and I think I made some like I made some like rice or like whatever, man. We were making all kinds of seafood. And the food was just so good and clean, man. The drinks were great, and
That's dope. I know, man. I was
Yeah,
so
man.
jealous.
Yeah,
Nathan,
man.
it's been great to see your face, buddy. I miss you. We got to go
You too.
flying again soon, man.
all right, bye, man.
Clear to land, doing 280 at 7 off.